So social media gets a really bad rap sometimes. I'm not sure how many of you are on social media professionally in terms of Twitter or Google Plus or any sort of connected network with other educators. But I will put in a little disclaimer that you've got to keep in mind any department policies, any systemic policies. You can't just go off and do what you like on it and say, but it's for my own professional learning. You really need to keep in mind that students will find you. Students have found me and they come up to me and say, sir, I found you on YouTube. Well, that's great, but all you're going to do is learn something. Like, you're not really, you're not going to find videos of me doing anything stupid on there. Same on Twitter, like, oh, we found you on Twitter, we're so proud. Well, again, you're going to find a stream from the Geography Teachers Association conference. What do you know? And then they see you at the shopping centre and they turn and they run away because they don't want to talk to you. Can I just get a show of hands who's on Twitter professionally? I know a lot of the going on here at the conference with the hashtag is all based on Twitter, but the people that aren't on Twitter, a lot of hands down. Is that something that you've ever considered joining for a professional experience? Yeah, yes, no?
Yeah, I've only used it for a specific thing. So for a conference or there was something that I went to, I would just use it for that and I don't want the constant feed of stuff coming through.
Yeah, and it's something you can make private as well. So once you go to a conference, you can open it up so people can find you, then you can shut it down again without deleting it completely, and then reopen it again when something happens. Yeah. Anyone else interested in thinking about starting that sort of stuff? Yeah?
I have no choice, I'm against it, but I'm doing a graduate diploma in collaborative and digital learning, and the university insisted that we all join Twitter. It was one of the first things. First thing was we had to make a movie or something, which I've never done before, and then the second thing was to join Twitter.
Okay.
Also checking our blogs and now something else and now something else.
Yeah.
I've considered it, but as a platform for communication between parents, students and teacher, I found some other apps and websites that seemed more palatable for an education setting.
Yep.
And ended up gravitating towards those.
Okay, yeah.
The feedback to students and parents asked for that because there is good as a well-known platform that's closed and secure, and it's also giving a degree of safety to the teachers, communicating to students that can use it through so many different ways. So it's a lot safer for this report as a record.
Yeah, having said that, I only use it to connect with other educators. When students find you, it's immediately block. Have a chat to the year coordinator, make sure that everything's followed properly. But yeah, you stick to your emails, stick to if you use Google Classroom, Canvas, depending on what system you use, to keep it safe. You've got to protect yourself as well, ultimately. So if you do use Twitter, or if you don't, I'm going to go through certain accounts you can follow that are really worthwhile in integrating into your classroom. So the first obvious one will be the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Now their website is very clunky. If you've ever navigated the census data, there's a lot of different options available, and all of them seem to either confuse the students or confuse some teachers as well in terms of how do you actually find what you want to find. If you know the catalogue number off by heart, 5301.1, you're lucky. But I don't walk around with a notebook full of catalogue numbers to find things straight away. So on their Twitter page, it gives you really short, it's 140 characters or less, so it's very concise. Reliable data directly from the ABS. The links take you straight to the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, straight to the relevant page. You don't have to go through stepping stones to get to the information on the ABS website. It's directly there. Now it could either be used in the classroom, students finding information. It's an open Twitter account. You don't need to be part of Twitter to read it. If you want to follow them, you do. But if you want to get students to just search for it, and they can find the information there, that's one way you can actually integrate it like that. Or it can be a reference source for yourself. You might be teaching population statistics, and you need to quickly find something that you can use. That is something you can integrate straight away. And it's only 140 characters or less. It's very concise for kids. And you can give them the link straight to the website as well. You don't have to find it yourself on the ABS website. They don't have to find it themselves. It really cuts down that time of, Miss, I actually don't know what I'm looking at, where can I find it, where, you know, what's going on as well. Now the Census Australia, the ABS has actually got their own census Twitter page as well. And that gives you facts straight from the census. Now the latest census data should be coming out very, very shortly, I believe. But until then, the 2011 one, and that, you know, now 6 years old, is the only thing that can go on now. So everything else is really an estimate. So this gives them trivia. It makes it a bit more fun as well. So this is something, I know, I'm sorry, I apologise for cycling very quickly, but in order to make it more visual, I've embedded a whole bunch of GIFs into it that just keep cycling that way. You can see a whole range of things. So things like world maps of places of birth, infographics for those visual learners that really struggle to just see numbers on a page and just see a table that says, you know, UK, X million people, okay? There's a lot of trigger as well, fun trigger in terms of world chocolate as well. It says, you know, happy birthday Kevin Bacon. Census data says that there's X amount of people in Australia that have selected that they're choreographers as their job in the last census. And that can be something, that small tweak can be something that you can then integrate into the classroom and just say, well, okay, so if this is something you can do cross-curricular as well in terms of, well, okay, well, what is a choreographer? Why is there only 1,000? Is that a growth market? Is that something you can sort of, you know, not really, like is that like a really niche job you can bring in the entrepreneurial aspect of the Australian curriculum where it says, let's do these capabilities of being an entrepreneur as well. I'm from a business studies background as well, so I try and integrate a bit more of the, I guess, the financial aspects into geography as well. In terms of ethical business settings, that sort of stuff as well. You know, there's 587 chocolate packers in Australia. There's a great map that shows that there's a Nutella factory in Lithgow. So that can then lead you into looking at supply chain. Where are the different ingredients for Nutella coming from around the world? Where's the sugar cane coming from? Where's the hazelnuts coming from? What ethical, what sustainability issues can you actually get from this? But it leads them into something that they think, oh, that's actually, you know, it's a fun fact. Okay, but it can lead you into that activity as well. Bureau of Meteorology gives you up-to-minute weather information and warnings. But the best thing I found about the BOM Twitter account is that it gives you videos and animations. How does El Nino work, or the ENSO work? 2-minute clip, 2-minute animation actually shows you how it works. They explain it a lot better than I ever could. They've actually got a meteorologist running and saying this is how it works. And that 2-minute clip, that could be enough to get them to watch the day before and say, when you come in the next day, make sure you've watched it, because then we're going to actually do an activity the next day on how it works. And that's a way of sort of mini flipping your lesson. It saves you them then saying, well, my Wi-Fi's not working right now. Can I watch it on a friend's computer? We all know what happens when they do that. They're sharing earphones, nothing's going right. It allows you more time in class to then actually do some some role playing. I like doing the role playing with it, where they sort of start at one end of the world and they sort of cycle around, and kids get down to show that it's dropping in, that sort of stuff. Makes it a bit more interactive, but you don't have enough time to sort of unpack that if you're trying to figure out how the internet works in that classroom, because the Wi-Fi always finds a way of dropping out. National Geographic, I picked up a copy of their magazine at the airport on the way down, and I realised how great it is as a resource. I've been subscribing to it for years, but I stopped receiving it a while ago just because it was taking up too much bookshelf space. But I realised how important it is. The issue is that it's very heavily US based, so you've got to make sure you convert everything from imperial to metric, so students aren't confused. But the benefit of this is it takes you straight to their articles. They're free articles. You don't need to buy a subscription to the National Geographic to use this. 140 character tweet, very short, that says this is what's happening in the world right now. Click the link and it'll take them to an interactive activity that is created by geographers. It's not something they're going to find on Wikipedia. It's nothing that you might think is a bit unreliable. It's a very direct way of getting kids to actually get geographical information from a reliable source. And again, you don't need to have a Twitter account to follow them, but to just search for them. You do if you want to follow them. But you can do a search in their account. You might think, okay, well, I've got a keyword for this. You pop it in and it'll actually find it for you. That's a very short, very quick way of finding a hook for your lesson as well. Then we've got the UN development, United Nations development. Now, ethical development and economic development is very, very important at the moment, where world leaders are finally realising that something needs to be done to help the underprivileged. Okay, and this is an official United Nations account. This is not, again, a Wikipedia type thing where anyone can do anything. It gives you initiatives, statistics, campaigns that they are running that, again, you can use as quick hooks to make it a bit more engaging for the students as well. So, natural tip from farmers in Indonesia: use chili peppers on your crops instead of pesticides. That can then lead to looking into, well, what damage does pesticides do to the environment? How does it affect groundwater? How does it affect soil as well? All these blue links up the top here, if you go into the presentation, you click on them, it'll take you straight to their Twitter account. As I said, you don't need an account to look at them, so you can go through, and if you are interested in joining Twitter, you can then follow them and actually get their updates rather than having to bookmark their website. Now, another great way to engage on Twitter is through using hashtags and chats. Now, the hashtag for this conference was AGTA 17. And that allows you to sort of see what everyone's talking about. But another great way you can harness Twitter is through doing chats as well. So basically, what it means is once a month, it could be once a week, once every 2 weeks, people will get together at a certain time for a certain topic and use a certain hashtag. So for example, if this conference is running a chat, you might say, 1 o'clock tomorrow, everyone get on board using this hashtag. We're going to run through a series of questions, and you can actually collaborate with other educators. And if you're teaching a learning coordinator or you're a professional development coordinator at school is interested as well, you might be able to include that as teacher identified hours when you're looking at your accreditation as well. I'm not sure how it works in different states. New South Wales, we need to do 100 hours to maintain our accreditation. So participating in chats, you might be able to say, well, that's actually teacher identified. I went out of my way of seeking out professional learning opportunities as well. So your hashtag geography teacher, that's worldwide. They share resources. They might say, this is a great article I found or a great lesson plan. Everyone have it for free, go for it. There's one that's called GeoChat. Now, according to the moderators, that happens at least once a month. So if you jump on at that certain time, and again, that link takes you straight to their chat, to their Twitter feed. You can see what everyone's been sending in, whether it be, again, a lesson plan or an activity. Now, I've actually started one as well because I realise I do history, I do economics, I do business, I do religion, I do geography. HSIE teachers normally do everything, whether you're trained in it or not. So I noticed there was a distinct lack of conversation around that for an Australian audience in terms of actually getting PAS teachers together or SOS teachers together. So I've created a Twitter chat called hashtag. Last Thursday of every month at 7 PM City time, I put a series of questions, one every 10 minutes, and educators from around Australia can get on board and actually say, this is what I think, this is what I'm sharing for this. It's controlled in terms of the questions that are set, but it always turns into eventually a free-for-all, which is great because then people say, well, forget about that question, I think this is great, what about this resource? Okay. Now, I've included a step-by-step guide on how to set up a Twitter account, so if you've never done one and you thought, I really think it's a good idea, I've included a step-by-step guide you can go to, and at the end of the presentation, based on time, if it's something you want to do, but you're unsure of, I'm happy to actually come around and help you set up a Twitter account, how to go about doing it, how to set privacy levels, that sort of thing as well, okay?